more testing of our live stream. If you were able to catch briefly the other day, our recording, we didn't leave it up long on YouTube because we stayed frozen the whole
kind of a disaster.
time. But you could hear us. So I will check things and see if we are online. But this is kind of exciting. Trying a different program than we did yesterday. So hopefully that's going to be helpful. And I think it's going to be helpful too when people want to come on. It's going to be a lot simpler to invite people on.
You're freezing a lot, Cody.
So it looks like we are good on YouTube. So I'm going to just check on our Twitter. Let's see if we've come up on there. And it shows that we are on Twitter. So I think we are good. So apparently we have someone following us. I don't know who is online.
It could be Steven. I told Steven we were working on it.
So, hey, everybody. So
I just realized I'm wearing the same shirt. That's my profile picture. Twitter.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is. It's my PlayStation shirt from Target because I'm a complete adult.
Well, I have a Target shirt on today too.
I love my Target clothes. Like,
stay golden, everybody. Yeah. Okay, so
so for the record, do you know what that reference is from?
I don't.
It is from the movie The Outsiders from 1986. It's also a book that many of us typically read in like middle school or maybe 9th grade. But yeah, so Stay Golden Pony Boy, I believe, is the complete line because that was one of the names of one of the characters.
I have not seen that.
Is it
good?
If you look it up, yes, it's kind of the coming of age movie of, I think 1986, but there's some pretty big names in it. I think Patrick Swayze's in it, young Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, also known as the Karate Kid.
Oh, he was so cute.
There's 3 or 4 big names. I want to say, was Emilio Estevez in it? Well, you know what? Thanks to awesome phones.
The magic of the internet.
Well, also, and I knew it was just something like Rob Lowe, Matt Dillon.
What is it called?
The Outsiders. Oh, it's 1983. Yeah, so I mean, these are all young. They were all really young in this movie. But it's got Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane, Leif Garrett. Like some of the bigger names I figured you might recognize.
Yeah.
So, and let's see, Nicolas Cage and Melanie Griffith are in it as they have uncredited roles. And do you know who Heather Langenkamp is?
I don't.
So she was Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, like the main character.
Okay.
So she was in this movie too, but yes, that's the movie. But her scenes were cut. I am such like a
unfortunate for her.
Right. Well, this was right before her role, right before her Nightmare on Elm Street break, where then she became more known. But
I would hate. You hear those stories of like people who are in these movies or films. Sometimes bigger names, but sometimes most of the time it's smaller names, and they're in these roles, and then their role gets cut out of the movie, and then they don't know it until they see the movie, and they're like,
right.
Oh.
You're like, what the hell? Was it, I think Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. So he thought it was going to be more Joker, and then I guess when the movie aired, or when he finally saw it, he was all sorts of pissed. And I liked his Joker, don't get me wrong, but I personally am so tired of Batman, Joker, Superman, like the same 5. Not that they're not great movies that can be made about them, but there's so many other characters in all these, in their universes that we could talk about or do stories or have backgrounds on. So because a lot of times you have all these auxiliary characters that get no attention or get very little screen time or something like that. And I think putting some focus on them could renew the interest in these other characters.
Yeah, I think he was an okay Joker.
I like the crazy. I like the kind of crazy he brought in the flashback scenes in the movie where it shows kind of Joker and Harley Quinn kind of working it out, and you see how callous he is, but how crazy she had gone for him. And I just liked that chemistry there. I don't know why, but I really, really liked it.
Yeah, I like Birds of Prey. I know there a handful of people did not like it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
But... yeah, I think we know exactly why.
Something about female-led movies, Ghostbusters.
Even when I write my stories, a lot of times, like when I write something that I feel is the most realistic or interesting, or stuff I haven't shared with everybody yet, I've always found like the female characters tend to just be the most well-rounded heroes. They just tend to be the most thought out, they're the ones when you write out, it's like, well, who would do this? And it's like, well, not that character. Well, okay. I kind of, when I write like a short story or something, I kind of give each character I want to have very specific traits, and I stick to that, barring like a really stressful situation. Like it's something in real life that, maybe something you wouldn't ordinarily do, but when you're really stressed, maybe you would make a different decision. But other than that, I try to make the characters stick to exactly those traits, or try to make their decisions based off that. And man, the guy characters just feel so bad. Like we're the ones that get everybody killed, in the horror movie.
What do you think of the new? But what do you think of Ben Affleck as Batman? Did you like him as Batman?
I did not see it because I really. Okay, well, I'm going to get canceled for this. Batman is one of my least favorite characters ever.
What?
David is down the hall and I just heard him like make noises. So I'm pretty sure there might be divorce papers on the counter when I get downstairs later. It's not that I dislike Batman, but it's just I think it's one of those, for me, it was like always that oversaturation of Batman and Superman. So all I saw were those movies, and I loved the Batman movies growing up. It's not like I've had this like lifelong hatred of Batman. I just kind of got tired of it. But I used to love watching the old Batman movies, even though they could be pretty awful. Some of them were. What was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze? That one was pretty awful. But
I have to say his makeup was so good on that.
Right.
I feel like there was something there. I feel like there was something there, especially if we would have explored just his character, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, I think there was something there. We actually just watched all of those movies the other day, all the Batman movies from the beginning to, I guess.
That's funny. I don't know, we did that
like a few months ago.
Yeah, we did that a few months ago, I think. Actually, a few weeks or a few months. I've lost track of time.
Is David excited for the new Justice League movie that's coming out?
Probably. I did watch Wonder Woman and I loved it. I've not seen the new one yet, but
so a lot of people complained about the new one. I thought it was fine. I mean, the thing is, it's like a popcorn movie. Just sit and enjoy it. You don't. I mean, I know a lot of like comic book fans and stuff go into like, well, this didn't happen here. This didn't. Yeah. But like, you can just enjoy it. Like, I mean, and a lot of it, some people were not even a lot of it was even to comic book relation. A lot of it was they were talking about. Of course, the movie was set in the 80s, and there was no 80s music in the film. But there wasn't any other music either. It was just mostly score. So it wasn't like...
Oh, well...
it wasn't like they had some other music playing and then you're like, oh well, they should have chosen an 80s song. It just, there was no music like that. So like I give them a pass on that, because it's like, okay, yeah, if they'd used some other music, modern music, when they could have used great 80s music, fine. And I realize there's a lot of great 80s music, because 80s has been a really big thing, because we have Stranger Things, and then there's a handful of other shows that all like latch on to that period of time.
1984 is my favorite American Horror Story season, probably, I think.
Which one was that one?
That was the most recent one.
Oh, okay. Yes, I didn't see that one.
Cody, I need you to watch it. You remember, you were like 9 years old in 1984. I need you to watch
it. I was born that year. Yeah, I haven't seen it. We were gonna actually watch it. We thought it looked good, but we didn't watch it. I guess the last one.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think the last one we watched was Apocalypse.
Yeah. So 1984 kind of plays with that, like that slasher film trope a lot. And then one of what the main villain, I don't want to give anything away, but it's one of my favorite villains that I think we've met in the course of American Horror Story, because American Horror Story kind of goes all over the place. Even when it uses similar concepts, the characters tend to be all over the place, so you kind of don't know what you're going to get. But Billie Lourd is amazing. She is totally amazing in that movie, and I just need you to watch it so we can talk about it. Did you like Hotel?
Okay. So I've only watched half of it.
Did you like it though?
Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I think it's just one of those things. Something happened, and then I stopped tuning in each week. I watched. Well, I watched all of the first one, which I had not seen.
Season 1.
I had not seen season 1, but I watched season 1 before Apocalypse, because they said there was going to be a lot of tie-ins to that, and the one where they're witches.
Yeah, watching season 1 first is definitely a good idea. Just to get an idea. Most of the others you probably don't have to watch in order, but there's little references as the seasons kind of go on. There are some references. Hotel I really liked, because I like the concept of old hotels. I love old. That's just something I really, really like. Hence, podcast idea. This probably doesn't surprise you at all, but then there with I enjoyed most of the end of it. There were just there was a couple of one-liners that I really, really loved, and I don't know how far. Did you get as far as
So I've
Lady
seen
Gaga when the Countess got married? Did you see that part?
I don't think so.
Okay, damn! I need you to see it. I need you to just watch it, because there's just a really funny line.
Yeah.
But
so I've seen Murder House. I've seen Asylum. I loved Asylum.
Really?
Yes, I think it was my favorite. I've seen Coven. I saw a little bit of Freak Show. I saw a little bit of Hotel. Saw a little bit of Roanoke. Saw a little bit of Cult. All of Apocalypse, and none of 1984.
I watched season 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I actually started watching American Horror Story around the time season 4 was airing each week, like just before. So I'd heard about it, but I'm really bad about, everybody was talking about it, but I didn't even have Hulu at the time, so I couldn't even watch old seasons. And my neighbors loved it. My best friend was my next door neighbor, and David at the time was his roommate at that point. And they would talk about it, and I just didn't ever get to it. And then finally I did, and then I got Hulu and started catching up. I'm like, oh my God, this is some twisted shit.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being pretty crazy.
Right. And it's the whole, so I grew up in Florida. And for a time when I was a child, we lived around St. Petersburg and Gibsonton. Gibsonton, Florida is a place where a lot of times the old sideshows and everything, the retirees had moved kind of that way. So I kind of grew up knowing about the sideshows and what was then known as the freak shows. And so it was really interesting. And I watched tons of documentaries on it. They were on all the time. And I remember watching them with my family. And my stepdad was he and his dad was like with the traveling carnival. His dad was, I don't know for how long, but I had seen pictures of my stepdad with his dad at the time. So it was just I was really fascinated to watch Freak Show. But, sometimes it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
But I was really glad that they actually had people, with the things that they portrayed as much as they could to give them the screen opportunity and give them the screen time and talk about their experience and kind of put it out there, even though it was for American Horror Story. It was just, I thought that was a really interesting thing. A lot of shows don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's also a Ryan Murphy show, so you watch Glee because I'm from Lima, Ohio. So
I know I really need a little button that I can push every time we talk about Lima, Ohio.
Oh, I was listening to the podcast last or when I re-listened to everything, and I did not know you did this.
I did do it on one.
Being from Lima, you had inserted and that's what you missed on Glee from me. I'm like, what? I didn't even know you did that.
Now that we have all this set up and hopefully it's going to be starting to go really well, I'm going to have to get an effects button. And every time you say it, I'm just going to push the button.
Yeah, you're like waiting for this. well, my long-term goal is that we become like some well-known podcast and we have like our own office. So it's like a permanent setup rather than we have to like deconstruct our days and half of our houses to make it happen. I'm in my office, which I used to be when I worked at home when I had a job. And then now it's kind of like where I write, where I edit, where I do nothing, where I go and hide.
Well, I was gonna say, real quick though, American Horror Stories. We've been talking about it. If you end up watching this, tell us what your favorite American Horror Story season is, because that would be fun to know. But yesterday we were talking on our podcast recording, and of course the video didn't happen, so none of you got to see it. But I did ask Matt, because people are going to wonder your background, and so it kind of goes into what you're talking about. Why do you have hippos and giraffes and elephants?
Yeah, before I answer that question, so for everybody that may not know, and I have my phone open, how do I see that, is it from your main account?
What are you asking?
Yeah, I guess that would help too. How to see it live? Like,
it's just on the ComaCast Twitter page.
Oh, okay, it's from ComaCast. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. Here we are. Okay, I'm gonna retweet us, and then I'll answer that question. Sorry, because I can't do more than one or two things at the same time.
I mean, it's a really cute background. He's going to get to talk about it in just a second, but it's what I get to see every time we record a podcast, because we always have on FaceTime and video chat so that we could see each other and know when the other wants to speak or if something needs going wrong and we need to pause for a second. So I always get to see this cute little elephant, giraffe. I think there's like a monkey, maybe.
Yes.
And some little mice.
So I'm working on doing contract teaching work for a company where I can work from home, and I would be teaching children in other countries English. And so I would be working with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, kind of, around that kindergarten, first grade. So what they ask is that whatever is going on behind you while you're teaching, that it be child friendly. So I kind of went for like first grade classroom theme. And so it's all animals, and my nephew, who's 4, loves this. So when he came to visit me, he and his mom, his mom is my niece, I made my office their guest room so he could have this for the week. But he thought it was pretty cool, and we got him coloring books with animals, and I have finger puppets that are similar to it, so I have them in a basket. So we play games I put the finger puppets on, and if you've ever followed me on Snapchat, actually, they're actually completely adorable. But we would do things like, if I put the little frog one on, it's like, what is that? It's a frog. frog, you know, and teaching him.
Did you do sounds?
Yeah, and he's.
What does a frog sound like?
I am not doing this. You're not going to trick me into this.
Dang it.
I know. So, you know, you've worked with me for a long time on camera, but you know, you don't live with me. I was telling Johnny Apollo yesterday that, you know, you and I have never met in person. So you don't know me in person and vice versa. So like when we come up with ideas and how we do things, the things where I don't want to say like clash on, but like we don't always understand each other because we don't know each other in person. So,
well, Matt, we have 4 people watching us.
Yay! Thanks for joining us. I retweeted it, so I'm like, oh, I wonder if anybody's going to listen. Hear us talk about nothing while we test this out for 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, you can continue.
But yeah, when we come up with ideas and everything, it's kind of me explaining things. And in real life, I make weird noises. Like, I don't know how to explain it. David has, I think, just either tunes it out or so used to it, it just kind of, it's part of our conversation. And sometimes I'll do it with you when we're recording or, you know, we're recording not live. Sometimes some things get repeated 3 times, mostly because of an audio issue or when Salem the cat unplugs something. Or
I know he's sleeping right now.
Mine are wandering the house.
I know Luna got to come into the office today while you're recording.
Yeah, my office door's actually open and it's out of reach now. And then she walked in meowing right when you hit start. I'm like, oh, crap.
Well, we dropped to 2 followers. I don't know.
People were like, they took one look at this and went, oh, I don't want to hear them talk. 20 minutes a week is enough.
I know. People have been enjoying some of our episodes, though. But
one of my friends texted me. I woke up to a text from him this morning that said he did not know I had a podcast, and he and I have known each other since 2010, 2011, and so I was surprised. I was like, well, I talk about it sometimes, but I guess I don't. On my Twitter, my main Twitter account is kind of a mix of everything.
Yeah. One of our episodes, though, was we were talking about JoJo Siwa, and she was on Jimmy Fallon last night. So I'm going to try to play a clip. We're going to see if this works, because if it does, it's going to be really fun for us to start doing. But we'll check that out.
Either way, you're going to get feedback. You're going to get good stuff and you're going to get bad stuff. And you know that it's going to start a conversation. And you're like, once I press this button, it's not even
There's no going back.
Yes.
My thing with coming out is it can be a very scary thing. You know, of course, not everybody in the world is going to accept it right now, but there are so many people that are going to accept it right now. And like I say, even there's a million people, that's a lot of people that don't accept it. There's 100 million that do. And I think that's something really important. 100 million is a lot of people. And so always keep that in mind. But also, I was like, I don't want it to have to be such a big thing. Like, what am I going to do? Like, have a coming out party? No, it's just who I am. And so after I posted it, I was just kind of like, all right, I'll do it. Like, I was just on the phone, spontaneous, like, because we're long distance. And so I was like, all right, I did it. Back to FaceTiming with her. And then it was like 2 days later, I was again on the phone with her. We're on the phone literally 24/7. Both of our families get so annoyed at us, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. But I was like, you know what I realized? How risky that was. And she was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, technically, that was a really big risk that I took posting that. But I was like, but honestly, and she was like, why? Because you could have lost everything. And I was like, yeah. But if I lost everything that I've created because of being myself and because of loving who I want to love, I don't want it. That's not what I want if I can't love who I want to love. That's one of the most important things to me. And I was about 10 minutes before I came out to do this interview today, I was again on the phone with my girl and I started crying. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I'm just so happy. I was like, because now I get to share what makes me the happiest with the world. And it makes my heart so happy.
And there's a lot to be happy about. I want to congratulate you because you were named one of Time Magazine's 100.
So I thought that was pretty good, because we had talked about her, you know, doing this. And we talked about other people in Hollywood who have come out and sometimes they struggle to get work. And she's like at the height of her career, and to do this and to be so young.
17, like,
but so well spoken.
Right. I think it's a tough one because, you know, she made a decision, but it's really profound to say at 17 and to be where she is and to say, yeah, that's fine if I lose it all. That's cool. You know, she seems to understand, you know, like the world is bigger than no matter where you are at 16 and 17, the world is bigger and everything can change in 5 minutes because I'm sure, well, you know, she got swatted, which could have been terrifying. It could have been a really bad thing. And if she hadn't said something, somebody could have outed her, you know, like what happened with Nikki Tutorials. You know, that was a pretty wild situation. And I did not see that coming. I kind of thought we would do an episode on that. I was actually just watching a documentary. She's been releasing like a YouTube documentary series on herself. And I've been watching it and it's very, very fascinating. So, you know, and to see somebody be able to take charge of themselves and have that power for themselves to come out. I was outed and it's the worst feeling ever. And because when I was outed, I realized how important it was to me to be able to say something first. So I went ahead and just kicked the doors open and said, okay, well, to hell with it. Because what else could I do? I mean, I was either going to have to own it or backtrack. And I mean, I've sounded this way my whole life, so there was no backtracking. And I was just going to have to admit to the world that I didn't want to, I was not going to live a straight life.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think I was 18 when that happened. So, you know, 17 and 18 aren't really a big difference, but in the terms of the world, or at least here being seen as an adult and responsible for your own decisions, it does make a difference. I was away from home. I didn't have my family around. I didn't have friends around. I just kind of kicked the doors open and said, okay, well, I hope my family likes me still. And they're fine with it, but I'm not exactly close to my family, so it's a little different. So if they hadn't been okay with it, I really, okay, you know, but that they were surprisingly okay with. And so to see somebody like JoJo Siwa, who is this icon, and she's aware that she has a younger audience. And I think she not only just talked about it, she put it out there in such a way that's just like, one of the stereotypes about our community is how over-sexualized we are. And for her to just talk about like, love is love. Love does not, you know, she just kept it the way she did it and she just moved on. So I think that's fantastic. And I'm excited for that, to see somebody so young to just like own it and be able to live and be okay. You know, and she's out there doing interviews and she's not apologetic about living as herself. So I think that's pretty great of her.
Yeah, and it seems like overall, the majority of her following has been really supportive of her decision. And I mean, I think that shows positivity for where we're going in the future and what the world could be, that there is such positivity around something.
I think
like
Gen
that.
Z is going to be a huge win for the world. I think as the millennials and Gen Z rise, because, you know, we got social media and everything kind of in the middle of, you know, like our childhoods. Or, well, for me, I got it in my freshman year. At the end of my freshman year of college, like a week after my 19th birthday, MySpace became available to all of us. So from then on, it started connecting to people that weren't just neighbors or dorm mates. And, you know, you started being able to connect with people all around the world with shared interests. And you didn't really focus on what they looked like hardly, because you're mostly just talking via text or maybe short videos if you had a webcam, because webcams weren't as common then.
Yeah.
So to have that now, as we've been growing up with it, you know, you and I are now grown in our 30s. We are past that college age, but we met because of Twitter. And but then you have the younger millennials and Gen Z, and then the rising generation behind them. I don't even know what they're going to be called, but that is normal to them to make a friend 7 states away who have maybe a completely different religion, religious or not religious at all, and to be totally, hey, we have somebody. It's really great, and I think that's going to make such a difference in helping to break down these, I guess, like cultural and language barriers, because it's a long time for them to go, but this is a great way to do it, because when you can just sit and have a conversation with somebody 7 states away and you're talking about your favorite things, and sometimes it's easier to explain something over text or with pictures and video, etc.
Yeah, I think, that's one thing that I always was kind of excited about, like a handful of years ago. I mean, it's forever now, but I started talking to people on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, I guess Tumblr at the time, actually. So all of those things. And that is how I made a lot of friends who ended up being in Orlando. Working at Disney World. And then that's
go ahead and tell the fun story about how you and I were like 2 degrees of separation here.
So I made a lot of friends through that, and then I went, and then I started going to Disney World like once or twice a year, Orlando, and hanging out with friends and doing whatever. And so then once I was there, you get more friends and whatever. But then the other day I was talking to Matt about something, and I was talking to Matt about someone I know in Orlando, and he was like, hang on, wait. And I sent a picture, and he was like, oh, I know them.
I've known this person since the person that he met. So Cody and I have been friends since 2016, 2017, like early 17, because I came back to Twitter in October of 16. This friend I've known since 2006. This friend's ex-boyfriend was my roommate at the time, he moved in as a roommate, and then that person, we were all just friends in Orlando. And I'm sure if I look through my old albums, I've got pictures hanging out with them and all of us going to the beach and doing stuff. And, but what are the odds? I didn't meet Cody till 11 years later. And then Cody and I randomly talking, and I had long left Orlando.
When did you leave Orlando? Like, was there a opportunity that we could have crossed paths? Like, what year did you?
I left Orlando May 10th of 2010.
Okay, I think I didn't go until like 11 or 12. So close.
And then I returned to Orlando in 2011. No, 2010. I went back in 2010 over the summer. It was either that summer or the year after for like 2 weeks to work. I worked my shifts at Disney, and it was exciting. And yes, strangers do become family. Cody and I completely created this from being strangers on the internet. I think you posted one of those things like pick a number. And I picked a number, and then Cody. For everybody wondering, the number I picked was a shirtless picture. If you've seen my Twitter or my alt account, that's already out there.
If you're watching real quick, if you want to say anything, if you have a comment, if you want to ask us something, just put it in the chat. Message us. So you picked a pumpkin. I actually was thinking about the other day, we should play a form of that game. Oh
God.
Are
you sure?
So Dominique saying, I'll be here for every show if I can.
And funny story. So I'm actually sending them a whole bunch of movies this later today, actually, because Jonathan Brown has arrived. And,
he thinks he's here. You're here.
So I posted a picture about it. I went ahead and cleaned out our Blu-ray and DVD case for all the movies we've already bought digital copies of, and from David and I kind of combining our lives over the last several years, which, by the way, today is officially our 5-year anniversary. And
oh my God.
Right.
Well,
today
I forgot about that. We just talked about that Tuesday.
Where I'm working on my anniversary. I'm such a good husband.
But it's probably like, go in there. Get on the way.
He's used to it. He had Starbucks delivered for me because
that is so awesome. Sweet though. But is it the right one? Because you were worried. Okay, good.
I took lactate pills anyway. He ordered it with soy, but it didn't come with soy. I'm lactose intolerant. So I cleaned out all these Blu-rays and DVDs, and there was like 100 and something of them from, this is my collection from the time I moved out of my house as a teenager, by the way. And so I was like, does anybody want these? And Dominique was like, yes, I do. And so he sent me the list of the ones I wanted. I bagged them all up. I got them all packaged. And I was going to need 18 stamps. I had 9. So there's only one Walmart and Target, like really in vicinity, and they're sold out of stamps completely. And we're like, that's fine. We just ordered a roll of them from USPS, like 100 of them. So yesterday we're like, man, they should be here already. They haven't even shipped. We can't get a refund. So I found an Office Depot, and I'm going there later today so I can mail those out.
Well, that's going to be fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's all these seasons of things that would be such a pain. And I was like, does anybody just want these?
It's so caring.
David actually told me, David and I trivia, he told me in 2012 or 13, I can never date you because you're like way too nice.
Well, as we will soon find out on a podcast episode coming up on Tuesday. We're going to try to release episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then, but we did an episode already that we recorded with Matt and David. And basically found out they were just too dumb, didn't want to accept the facts that were in front of them.
It's true. Yeah, everybody.
They loved each other from the beginning.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I was married, and like, let's point out, I was married when I met David, and
actually told Justin was asking how the podcast went, and I told him we recorded with David and everything, and I told him that part of the story, and he was like, "Oh, that's scandalous."
Yeah, it sounds really scandalous, but it's totally not. We met because we didn't have any friends, and we lived in this tiny town in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. There's nothing around us. There's like 7 gay people total, and like 4 of them are in the closet and don't want to talk to anybody anyway. And so we went on Grindr. We agreed, we talked about it. We went on Grindr, and I actually talked to David and didn't know it. I liked the shirt he was wearing. He had a really cute picture, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he was very nice to me, and we talked 2 or 3 times, and that was the last, that was it. And then my ex-husband and David, who, by the way, are still friends. We're on good terms now. It's been like many, many years. And David was not a factor in my ex-husband and I divorcing. That was totally separate. There was not any scandal to that.
No home wrecking?
No, there was no dishes were broken in the process of that friendship. And so David and my ex-husband made plans, and so he was like, hey, can I invite David over for dinner? I was like, oh, you know what, that would be great. Let's make a friend. So my ex-husband playfully referred to me as wifey enough times that he never actually told David that I was a guy. So David started to believe that that this was a straight guy, and then started thinking like, oh my gosh, is this a straight guy on the down low? Oh crap, what have I gotten myself into? So I opened the door, like, oh, you must be David. Welcome to our home. And he's like, what? He didn't say anything to me for years. It was years later when he finally told me the story that he had to like really put it together of like what was happening.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Jonathan is talking about how it's been a long time since he's logged into Periscope. I know, no one uses Periscope anymore, but here's the deal. Periscope's going away in March. So hopefully we'll still be able to stream on Twitter. Some people can actually go live on Twitter now through the Twitter app, which makes more sense than having a separate app. But a Periscope is going away in March. So I guess this may be one of the last few times you actually will log into Periscope. But we are on YouTube. If Periscope just completely goes away and we can't stream on Twitter, we still have YouTube. But if anybody is here and wants to join, I can send you a link and you can join us from your phone, your computer, anything. It's really easy now with this whole system. Like Matt clicked a link and he was here.
Yeah, I did it from my phone at first, and then here I am on my laptop. So So our friend Jonathan Apollo, he spoke on our podcast last year, and so we are friends.
And be sure to check out that episode.
Yes, it is a posted episode, and but we are friends, and he calls me. Well, he lovingly refers to me as Chaos Demon, but luckily we're on Twitter, so we don't have to explain my Twitter to people. Sometimes on the podcast, I wonder if people do go find my Twitter and then go look through it and go, "Oh my God, like what?"
Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, a Chaos Demon. So here's something. I don't know if you've seen it. But on Disney Plus, Cinderella is going to be coming out. The one with Brandy. It just was like announced today. People have been really upset because when Disney Plus debuted, that was missing, and people were like, "Why is this not on here?" And obviously, they have to hold stuff back because they want you to stay on Disney Plus for as long as possible, and don't want you to not keep paying for a subscription. But it's finally coming out. So
I'm so glad. Do you know when the last time I saw that was? I think I was in high school, and one of our teachers, we had like something was wrong, and she's like, "Well, you guys want to watch a movie? I have this movie," and we were like cheering, like, so.
Yes. It came out in 1997.
Like, I think that it's hashtag fucking iconic.
I don't know why they hashtagged it Disney Plus when it's coming from the Disney Plus account. But yeah, finally it's coming out.
It was an older millennial that was, working with hashtags. Don't judge us. We're.
It seems like people are excited. So.
Honestly, I'm really excited about it because it was such a good movie. Oh my God, it was so good.
So I should watch it. I know people are like, "Oh my God,
you haven't seen it?"
No, I've not seen it. But here's the thing, Matt. Didn't we talk about
sushi? What the hell?
Didn't we talk about that there's certain things I hadn't seen? Weren't we talking about there were certain Disney movies I hadn't seen?
Well, it's only an affront because you're very Disney friendly. When that guy in California got arrested for breaking into Disneyland after the pandemic started, I was like, I texted Justin, and I was like, "It's Cody, isn't it? Is that why we're not podcasting today? Cody has finally been arrested for breaking into Disneyland."
I miss Disneyland.
You can tell us, Cody.
Well, we'll come back to that in a second. What's happening February 12th, Jonathan? Or is that when Brandy? Is that when Cinderella's coming out? Yeah, February 12th.
Yes.
No, I do miss Disneyland. It's been, so here's the deal. They closed down like in March, I think, really quickly after everything started closing down. I just bought a season pass in December of 2019, and then I bought a pass for Justin in January of 2020. We went in January to see all the Christmas stuff, and it was so exciting, and we were going to plan on going a few times a year. And then they closed down, and they're still closed down, and I don't know when they're going to open. And then they got rid of their season pass program, and then we got refunds for our season passes, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just want to go back, but it's not safe to go back. But
as a former cast member, I worked there from 2006 to 2000. I was fully employed till the end of October of 2011. So when Disney closes down, it's really serious. And but the Disney, you can take the guy out of Disney, but you can't take the Disney out of me. It's you have these reactions just from being a part of Disney for so long that you have this almost I was a server, so a lot of my attitudes and how I handle customer service are very, very Disney oriented. Or if you visit my house, mutuals that have visited me can tell you that I will remember what you drank. I will remember what you ate. I will remember what you did or didn't like. And I can't turn it off. And then when I start getting yelled at, I start smiling, and I'm like, well, if you'd like to talk to a manager,
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
You were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
I was just talking to one of my friends, Bree, this morning, and she's like my best friend, and she's one of the people that I met in Orlando. I didn't know her until I was in Orlando, and then like we met up, hung out. We went the first time meeting. Actually, we had started texting a little bit before I was going to arrive in Orlando, and we met around the first time going to a Halloween party at Disney World.
Oh my gosh,
And
Halloween party. Do you know how much candy was brought in?
Oh my God,
fact?
so much. Hang on.
Tons.
How much?
It was like 15 tons.
Oh my God, so much candy. Yeah, we love the candy. Every time I always usually try to go like in the summer and then Halloween and Christmas. That was kind of my calendar space of going to Disney. But yeah, I dressed up as a gender bent Queen of Hearts and gender bent Corella. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cute.
I'll have to pull out those pictures sometime and show them off because they were so fun. And then we did the Christmas. But yeah, that's the first time we kind of like actually met in person and hung out. And then from there, whatever. But we were talking about it this morning because we both, she's not in Orlando anymore and I'm not starting to visit. And I haven't been in, I think I told her like 4 or 5 years. I hadn't been to Orlando now, which is crazy.
It's been 4 years. We went home in 2017. Orlando is very much home to me. It's where I came out and it's where I kind of popped out as an adult and kind of really began. I decided I needed to move away from my family to finish growing up. That was a conscious decision I made. I even thought of it just like that. It's in my old journals. I wear as a 17-year-old, but it was very much home. But I took David there for the first time in 2017, and it was really fun. David got to see Magic Kingdom, and I hadn't been there in 7 or 8 years, so all the processes were really different, like walking in and walking out. Like, it was really stressful. Kai is online. Oh, yay. So Kai is my real life friend. I call him, or he was formerly known as, or the Hawaiian gay. I think, is that still his handle? Still your handle?
Let us know. Is it still your handle?
Yeah.
People can follow you.
His account got, his old account got suspended. And so now his new one, he went from he had like 8,800 followers or mutuals, and it got reset to 0.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
But we're real life friends. We've known each other for 7 or 8 years, and then a couple years ago, we finally got to meet in person. He stayed with us for almost a week, and then a year and a half ago, we went to Hawaii and stayed with him. Well, we stayed at a hotel nearby. And his handle is now 808 Kai. Sorry.
Here we go.
He just corrected me. But
if you want to follow him, because everybody wants to follow new people, there you go.
Yeah. So he Kai, formerly known as the Hawaiian gay. But yeah, we went and stayed in Hawaii for almost a week, and that was kind of like it was like honeymoon / yay, we got engaged, yay, I finished my degree, yay, David got his degree. It was like all these things in one trip, and we're like, okay, we're gonna have to this is gonna cost a lot, so we're not doing anything for the next 2 years. Worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, you were y'all talk about it more on the podcast that we're going to release on Tuesday, but you talked about how you really just love Hawaii.
It was beautiful. I would definitely encourage people to not visit Hawaii right now because it's a pandemic, and don't be stupid. But yes, the trip, we stayed at a hotel, and Kai was wonderful. He didn't have us get an Uber. He came and picked us up from the hotel and drove us around and showed us things. And we got to just kind of fall into life there for a week rather than play tourist, which was really great. And I mean, it was completely beautiful. And I've never left the mainland before, so it was a big deal. David lived in Manila for 3 months for work several years ago. I think like 2013, 2014. So he's been out of the country. You know, he went swimming with whale sharks, and, you know, and if you know David, he can be very introverted. So it's surprising that he was the one that went swimming with whale sharks. But hey, we left the mainland and we had a great time, and it was a long flight home.
How long was that flight?
5 hours from Hawaii to LAX, and then 3 hours from LAX to San Antonio.
I know. When Matt was talking about that, when he was going, I was like, oh, you're so close. You could almost stop here.
Yeah, had we had more time, I would have liked to have stretched out, like gone to LAX and stayed in the area for like 3 or 4 days, then gone to Hawaii and then come back, because it's a really long day. And David and I were because they're 4 or 5 hours behind us, depending on what time of the year it is. So Kai and I talk every day, every single day. We have a running record of like 3.5 years that we talk. And yeah, it's timed around 4 to 5 hours behind. But, you know, David had to work 3 of the days we were there. So he was working from, I think, like 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. there. And so I'm dead asleep, and I already have a messed up sleep schedule. And so poor David is trying to work, and then I'm just starting to wake up. He's needs a nap desperately. And I'm like, all right, let's like go do stuff.
Jonathan is just telling us now that he is switching around a bit. He's now on YouTube, and it's apparently a lot better quality. And he subscribed. So
yay. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys following along. So this was kind of a test run, because we did, if you're just kind of joining us, we did try this on YouTube by ourselves with a different program a couple days ago. The audio is great. The video, not so much. So we ended up having to take it down. But
yeah, we were literally like frozen the entire time.
Yeah, and we're looking at doing this to do some of the episodes completely live. So 1, everybody can join in. 2, I really like the idea of people asking questions and making it more discussion based, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast so bad, was for education and for all of us to kind of learn our LGBTQ history. So this was a really good way to do it. And then today we're like, well, let's just test it out, go live, and talk about the stuff we normally would talk about. So if you're friends with me in any form, we can talk about anything you want, and I can probably figure it out. Right, Cody?
Yeah. Totally. What is your coffee drink? What are you drinking?
It's a salted caramel cold brew with soy. It's a grande, but I normally get a venti, but doctor said 1 cup of coffee per day, and I maintain that it's all in 1 cup, so it's effective and fine. But because of the Strattera I take, I cannot have extra caffeine, and I'm not supposed to have extra sugar, extra chocolate, because it can have a drug interaction. And I had 1 drug interaction with it because I took Excedrin migraine, not thinking.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that, but I don't know if everybody else got to hear it, but that was kind of scary.
Yeah, so every now and then I get really nasty headaches, but normally at night, and one hit me at probably 1 in the afternoon, and I'd finished my venti cold brew, and normally it takes me a couple hours to drink it because I don't chug it, and I had this really, really nasty headache, and it was making me nauseated, so David just got me 2 Excedrin. I wasn't thinking, and I took them. So 2 Excedrin on top of the Strattera, which raises my blood pressure from say like 120-ish to 135. So it took a while for it to level back out to where I'm probably in the low 120s now, but it went from 130-ish to 180-ish, 180, 185, and stayed there. I could like hear colors. It was a very long day. It was like 3 in the afternoon when it hit, and I'm like, oh, David, I don't feel good. And I just got sick.
Yeah. And Matt didn't tell me until
I did
like
not
he was
tell
fine.
Cody at all, because you and I were talking about normal things, and I went to David and he was playing a game, and I'm very calm. I was like, David, I think I don't feel good, and I think I need you to lay down. I need to lay down. And he's like, okay, gaming. And finally I was like, I need you to stop what you're doing, turn the TV off, and come lay in our room with me, because I think my heart is about to stop. Like, I had the presence of mind to recognize that I probably should tell somebody what was happening in my body. And I lay down for probably 3 hours, and I thought it settled down until I stood up. And then I finally, I got it taken care of around 11:30 that night. I don't recommend anybody do this, but I did happen to maybe take a shot of whiskey because it's depressant, and it lowered everything back to at least a reasonable level to where I didn't feel like I had ran. So that was on a Saturday, and I did not tell Cody what happened because he gets a little stressed about medical events. and telling him that I could literally, I think I was living on another plane of existence for 4 or 5 hours. Did not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Good.
No.
Kai has to go, so I guess be productive.
Bye, Kai. Daily. So every day we send each other a daily text message. One of us will beat the other, and again, part of being my friend is I'm probably going to say something ridiculously inappropriate to you. So in 3.5 years, I creatively find ways to say to say something really horrific to him.
I need to just like cut a lot of the clips together where you said stuff inappropriate, and we just play them
like a compilation.
Real quick, I did want to. We were talking about me dressing up as. I just went blank, but anyway, here's the Halloween costumes.
You guys, isn't Cody
Queen of Hearts, and Cruella. There is a picture with us and the Queen of Hearts, but
Yo, that is adorable. I always tell Cody he's so adorable and precious, and I can't wait to hang out because I think I'm like a foot taller, but he's so cute.
I mean, like, how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
I'm 5'6".
David's 6'3", so that'll be really fun.
That one would be like climbing a tree.
And also what's really fun is, so Johnny Apollo is a friend of mine, and I read.
Sorry, his comment.
You're doing a panic.
No, for real.
No, I think you mean a panini.
Me and Matt text each other sometimes, or like more so me because like I'm on West Coast, so like it's still technically early here, and Matt's like, "Well, I've already done this and this and this and this," and I'm like, "I'm still in bed."
Except today. Today was wild. I woke up. I feel so much better now, but the cat woke me up at 7:45 this morning, and I guess I was having a bad dream. I woke up sweaty. I was hot, and I woke up super anxious, which is really unusual for me. It's just not my style. And I've been on my meds for almost 2 full months now. So it's mostly settled down. And I woke up completely freaking out. I don't know what was happening in that dream, but it was wild. And I calmed down, and now I'm wide awake at 7:45. And I finally fell back asleep at 10:30. David slept through all of this, by the way. He heard none of this. And he was like 3 inches away from me, and so
he was giving you the space.
Yeah, so he sleeps through all of this, and then I go back to sleep at 10:30, and I woke up at 1. And I'm like, oh well, crap, which is very unusual. I normally wake up between 8 and 9, my time on Central, and I sat up. I'm like, all right, well, I need to text Cody. We're gonna do this recording. We're gonna test some software. I woke up and it felt like someone punched me in the face with a hammer. Like this headache just hit me right in my forehead. And then a few minutes later, Cody's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, oh God.
I was like,
well, truck.
What did I say? I said, well, we don't have to right now or something. Yeah. I don't want to rush you.
He's so caring. Have you thought about being a nurse, Cody?
Oh, I could not. I mean, if anybody's still here, does anybody have a question? Ask us some question real quick. I can't believe it's already been 2 months, though, that you've been on medicine. It seems like you just told me you were taking it the other day. Time is flying by really quick.
It's made a big difference. It's made podcasting easier, and it's made my general life easier. I don't struggle. The issues I struggle with that I went on it, it's not so bad on Twitter because I can read and reread, and I can proofread myself. And my stutter isn't a big deal, and speech isn't a big deal on Twitter because it's text. But for the podcast, if I'm having a particularly bad day, I can stutter right through stuff. I'll catch myself. I'll lose the words, and Cody just has to sit there patiently for what it usually takes me 2 or 3 minutes to get my brain to kind of like kick back on. But so when I went to be treated for it, when I brought it up to the doctor, we were facing either treating or looking at working with either ADHD, anxiety, Asperger's, bipolar, because the fixations I had and a lot of the things I were doing, they kind of fall under these behavioral. I'm trying to keep it general, but I'm a psych major. That's what my education and degree is in. So, but all the things I struggle with fell under a behavioral window, or umbrella. And so the doctor's like, well, he recommended Adderall, and I was like, I don't want to start with Adderall, please, let's try something else. So then he's like, well, how about Strattera? So the reason I went with it is because it doesn't require a step down, meaning if today I had a poor reaction, we needed to stop it, I could stop taking it tomorrow and I wouldn't have a negative reaction or a withdrawal period. And that was a big deal to me, because what if something goes really wrong and this is the first med out the gate I try? We're in the middle of a pandemic. This is not the time I want to have to run back and forth to a doctor or a hospital. So we went with the Strattera, and we're like, let's try treating my ADHD and anxiety symptoms first. And because this can spike anxiety if anxiety is the primary cause of the symptoms. So we kind of went one or the other. But if you're bipolar or have bipolar disorder, the Strattera can make it worse. It'll make compulsions and stuff. It'll just send it through the roof. And the doctor had warned me right before I walked out of the office. The first day of it was, if you have any mood swings or any feel weird, don't feel right, you call me immediately and stop taking your meds. I was like, oh, okay, And so when I went back for my 30-day checkup, I had blood work done. They check your hormones. And then he was like, by the way, we know you're now not bipolar because this would have made you worse. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's why you told me. So he couldn't tell me beforehand because I would have tripped myself up and stressed out about it. But so you have to rule things out, and it's whatever. And it wouldn't have been a big deal if that's what I was diagnosed with. And I would just go on the meds with it and take care of it and be open with everybody about it, because, you all see my Twitter. I'm very open about stuff like that, about things I get anxious about. So, here we are.
So this is pretty crazy, Matt. This apparently is just now happening.
What?
But SAG-AFTRA, the union in Hollywood, basically they were threatening to revoke Donald Trump's membership in
I know what you're about to say. I read about it earlier.
And he just preemptively released a letter, and it says, I write to you today regarding the so-called disciplinary committee hearing aimed at revoking my union membership. Who cares? Well, I'm not familiar with your work. Talking about Gabrielle Codys, who is the union president. I'm very proud of my work and the movies that I did. I was on Home Alone 2, Zoolander, and Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, and television shows including The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Saturday Night Live, and of course one of the most successful shows in television history, The Apprentice, to name just a few. And I also greatly helped the cable and television news business, said to be dying platform with not much time left, until I got involved in politics and created thousands of jobs at networks such as MSDNC. Okay, because he thinks it's Democrat controlled, fake news CNN, among many others. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And then basically this letter is to inform you of my immediate resignation from SAG-AFTRA. You have done nothing for me.
Well, apparently he needed some share time, and he had to get his fifis out. So I hope he feels better. Good for him.
Wow.
I did read about that earlier. I had a good laugh.
That is so crazy. Did you see Macaulay Culkin wants to digitally add himself in as an adult, replacing Donald Trump in Home Alone 2?
Yeah. He's really funny. It's funny that you mentioned him. And he'd also done that movie Party Monster, which was a reference to one of the one of the episodes we did the other day with the Club Kids. And Angel Melendez, the murder of Angel Melendez at the time. And Johnny Apollo is right. They responded with 2 words: thank you. Oh, God. I love petty people. I'm all about taking the high road when possible, but oh, Jesus. Sometimes you just can't resist.
I mean, that is pretty funny. Macaulay Culkin. I love Macaulay Culkin. He has a podcast. I don't think he's done it lately, hasn't kept it up to date, but he had a podcast that he did. He's puts out really good content and stuff. So it's
he's really funny. I don't know if you saw my Snapchat because I was being ridiculous, but one of the filters they have a bird. It's like a bird that sits on your shoulder. And I used it in my most recent tweet. Four pictures to describe what dating me is like. And it was my bird, Macaulay Culkin, like as in macaw.
Okay, I did see that.
Yeah, the bird is Macaulay, but
that was pretty funny.
Yes,
I was trying to find this photo of
episode. We talked about that, the Club Kids, and all these big names that were involved in the Club Kids. One of my mutuals, I don't want to name him because he's not watching this right now, and I don't want to like call him out. But one of my mutuals is local to me, and he was when I was telling him about this episode, he was telling me how when he was, out at the time, that he was part of the Club Kid scene in the city he was in, and that was so cool. And he was telling me about what his club name was, and a little bit about the culture, and that was really cool because I didn't know about it. I mean, I've learned a lot doing the podcast because when you research one thing, you kind of go down a rabbit hole. So you end up finding all of these things, and then you don't know who you're following. A lot of the cases we do and people we talk about, they are either, a lot of the associates of these people are friends and family, are still alive, they're on social media, or people involved in some of them are very much still alive, very much on social media. So that's why we're so careful when we talk about certain things, because you don't want to accidentally, well, one, get yourself canceled in a lawsuit for, coming across, if you don't want to come across as if you're slandering somebody, I would never want to do that. If I'm going to slander your ass, I'm coming for you. Like, I'll just say it to you. I don't want to do some side thing. So we want to make sure, that's why we wanted to make sure the podcast, when we talk about cases, that we're like, this is what we have seen. This is what's in the police report, et cetera, because, how you talk matters. We've seen in the last couple of years, how quickly somebody can be put on blast, be put on the news, they can get doxxed. And, it might be hard to believe, but sometimes people just really don't like me or what I have to say. And yeah, so I try to be careful, and Cody sweats a lot before he presses, the live button.
Well, I mean, now that we're going to be like live, sometimes it's going to be harder.
You see him, he's like, oh, he's getting nervous. He's like, oh,
I'm trying to find this photo. Like, I found a photo, I saw it where like someone had already kind of replaced Donald Trump with Macaulay Culkin, and I can't find it. I'm trying to find it, but can't find it. It was funny. Well,
I like Macaulay Culkin, but we should do one of these. So if you guys like that we do this, by all means, just let us know what you want us to talk about, because we have stuff to do and we can get more on a regular program. And this was really quick. We were able to log right in and it worked really fast.
And again, anybody can join us. So like if you want to join us for 5 minutes and talk about something and then be done, you can do that. So if you're listening to this later on, you're listening to the replay, do that. Also, let us know when is a good time to do this.
Right.
Like we might record, me and Matt might record podcasts like in the middle of the day. And if you can tune in, you can. If not, you watch the replay. But we want to do stuff like this where we're just chatting with you, and Mike can do it in the evening. So like, what is a good time for everybody?
We don't want to go too late because, well, actually it's really funny, but when you encounter Twitter after dark, things get weird. And, so
no, yeah, like, let us know, like maybe like 8 and before, but let us know where you live too if we don't know, because then we know what time zone to equate everything to.
This is going to be really surprising, but Cody and I's blistering social schedule, we can definitely work in, because we have the time. I'm just home, so
well, I think it might get edited. It might have got edited out, but me and Matt, it did get edited out because you didn't get to see yesterday's live. But we had talked about maybe because Matt and David watch Drag Race, and we might like come on for like 15 minutes or something sometimes to discuss whatever we saw that week on an episode or this and that.
I want to do an American Horror Story one because I have loved it, and I loved 1984 so much, but I need you to watch it so we can talk about it.
So I need to watch it, and then we're going to discuss.
Yes.
1984.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And because Billy Lord in that season is amazing. And
I have needed a new show to watch because, well, currently, here's the deal. Like, I've caught up on, we were talking about American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy. I watched 911, 911 Lone Star, and then those are Ryan Murphy shows, and The Good Doctor. Now, Matt thinks I'm crazy because those are both like medical drama, fire, people are getting hurt and injured, and obviously The Good Doctor is the hospital medical drama. But I love them. I love them
Which
both.
is wild because I swear you're going to put me on like another medication someday.
But I'm caught up on those. And then, people will be like, oh my God, I can't believe you watched that. But Gold Rush, I'm obsessed with Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel. It's where do you know about this, Matt?
No, what is Gold Rush?
Oh my God. There's like 10 seasons now. And each season's like 52 episodes or something.
Everything has a show. I mean, we're on live right now. I mean, how far are we from getting a Netflix deal? You know, like, are we? Yeah, no.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said, how far are we from getting a Netflix deal? You know,
so hopefully soon.
We're on season 4. I'm really hoping that maybe we can get like, I don't know if I could. I'm debating what I'm gonna say next. We could do a oh yeah, I know, Netflix show, but it revolves around gay Twitter, and we have like, but we would end up not getting cast. They would put like all these celebrities in our place, and I would just love to be played by like Scarlett Johansson. I mean, it's like my dream, and I can just imagine what magic and she would just bring to my character, so much substance.
Totally.
Like a tree.
So Gold Rush. Gold Rush is sorry. I was distracted also because Justin was going outside and he was asking me if something was unlocked and I couldn't hear. And Salem's out. So, like with our cats, we have to like lock up cats in different rooms because they don't get along yet. But then we always lock them in rooms before we go outside so no one accidentally runs out. So Gold Rush is a movie. It's a TV show, and it centers around 2 or 3 or 4, depending on what season, group of people, teams basically. And this is a business. These are businesses, but they are in the Klondike and Alaska and everything, and they are just digging for gold. And so they have to like dig up the permafrost and then dig up the dirt, and then the dirt goes through these trommels and machines that shakes out the dirt and shakes out the gold. And then anyway, it's just a reality show, and you get to see them pulling gold out and see who gets the most that season or whatnot. But I'm obsessed with that show. But I don't have Discovery Plus. I know I've talked to Matt about this, and I have every single streaming service that there is, and but I don't have Discovery Plus. That's a new one, and so I can't watch any more episodes of that.
Well, it sounds like you're finally going to catch up on HS.
HS. Last night. I did find a new show though. A very Brady renovation, and it's where they're renovating.
Oh my God, I know exactly.
Brady home. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with that now. I've only watched 2 episodes, and by the way, the shirt I was wearing.
Brady Bunch?
Oh, I did. I love the Brady Bunch.
Did you watch the movies?
I like the movies too.
So the movies were very funny. The first movie was just hilarious. The whole thing with Jan having like a let's burn down a 7-Eleven, like her inside like her voices in her head throughout the movie they were funny to me as a 10-year-old. They're even funnier to me now as a 34-year-old. I'm like, wow, those intrusive thoughts of let's burn down a 7-Eleven. No, stop, you're scaring me.
On this renovation thing, it's crazy because the house didn't look like the house from the show because it was on a set. They just used exteriors for the show, and so they literally are tearing down everything inside and are building this out to look exactly like the house, which is crazy. But how cool! But that's like how there was like a bidding war between Lance Bass and HGTV, and basically. Lost. Well, he lost, and in the TV show, you come to find out, like, he was around the asking price, but then HGTV wanted it so bad, so it was like about 1.3 million or something. And HGTV just wanted this. They were like, "This is what we want to do. This is a great show." La la la, whatever. They paid like 3.6 million, so way above asking.
Like,
so clearly they had to get it. You know, like if you're the family, you're gonna like not take that extra millions when your house is only worth 1.3.
Yeah,
I would love this house though, because I love everything mid-century modern and vintage, and like I would just like love that house. Like a lot of our furniture is like mid-century modern and like from the 60s and 70s that's been refurbished and everything. So like I would just be in a dream heaven of that house. So
it's really funny how different Cody and we really are as people. You know, other than being like aging millennial twinks, we are very different, you know. And
I mean, we've got to get you watching more TV, and maybe you will now. The medicine will hopefully.
Yeah. So one of the challenges of before, which a lot of people really did not know this about me, I can't sit for longer than 20 minutes and watch TV. That even when I can sit still, but my brain is running all over the place so fast, so much I can't process what's happening in front of me. So like I could sit and read a whole book because it tells a story, so it's going somewhere. But like a 45-minute TV show, which maybe a couple of the episodes I can do that, but even when it's something I'm really, really interested in, and Johnny, hashtag former Helix models.
They used to be in San Diego. So like I've told Matt about this, that there's certain scenes, if you watch the scenes, you know, they'll be like out in a park or something. That's a park right across from my dentist. And
getting your teeth watching. Oh,
you'll see certain scenes at certain areas, certain beaches, and it's like, oh, I know where that is. And then there's a winery that we go to. It's a little urban winery in the city, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to go because of the pandemic. But there's a hotel that is by it in the area, and that is where all of the models would stay when they would fly in, you know, because they would fly them in to San Diego, and that's where they would hang out until it was time.
Make it look like they're from California.
So, well, that's the thing. A lot of these, you know, they would be new to traveling, and they would come out to California. And I learned this lesson. I think I've shown Matt photos before, but like pretty much anybody who comes out here, you get out here and you are sunburned like day one, probably, because you usually go to the beach or something like that if you've never been, because you've probably never been to the beach. And so you get sunburn almost day one. So like they would always get like burnt. Like another thing, like traveling Broadway shows that come through the area, all the cast and everything will want to go to the beach, and then they get burned. You like get burned really quickly out here, like minutes.
I believe that.
And so like people are used to in certain areas, like in Texas, I could lay out for 30 minutes and be okay. Here, you lay out for 7 minutes. Well, you're completely burned.
I'm in Orlando, and I grew up in Fort Myers in Orlando, and it was easy to get burned, and I was so used to it. Oh, hi, Salem. Salem is like the call of the void.
Salem wanted to join. This is what he likes to do. He likes to play by, and it's not fun.
Mine are nowhere near me.
The eyes that Matt always talks about.
One of them is just giving me a dirty look from down the hallway, but that's it. And as Johnny said that Matt already has a Gamal attitude. Imagine Matt with that and Netflix money. Hashtag Lord help us all. That's probably pretty true. But I can tell you some causes that I would actually get involved with outside, you know, that, I mean, obviously we see what I'm involved in, you know, with the podcast and everything. One thing I'm really passionate about is good dental care, because dental is not included in medical. And a lot of people don't realize that until they're, you know, adults trying to get their insurance the first time and don't realize how little help you really get with the dental. You know, nobody knows how their dental really works, and I do. And and people compliment my teeth and smile. Well, a lot of money and surgery and everything has been spent for me to have these teeth. Like, all of these aren't real, you know.
Dental work is so expensive.
Right. So something I would do is, if I had money like that revolving flow of cash, is working with dentists, at least in my community, to get low-cost dental care, to get people dental plans, get them in, and not just kids that, kids, yes, to get them in and get them used to the dentist early so they're not terrified of it, but also adults that really desperately need care, because dental care is medical care. Good teeth really help your overall health, and it also makes a person feel better, and you should feel good about your teeth. I mean, I have congenital issues with mine, so I had to have a lot of work done, and I know how it feels that even the teeth I had that were just fine, they were in all the wrong places. They were pointing out in different directions. Like, they were all literally sideways in my upper jaw. I would totally, that's what I would spend the money on. That and
Starbucks. We have a place out here called Better Buzz, and it's way better than Starbucks. I can't wait for you to try it.
I just live in the middle of nowhere.
I know, man. It's so good. I always at Christmas time get peppermint white mocha.
I've been dying to come visit Cody. We have had plans. I was supposed to meet Cody last year, or in 2020. When 2020 started, we started making the plans to do the podcast, and I was hoping to come out. We'd even talked about me coming out maybe every 3 or 4 months for like a week, and then recording all of our episodes at once, so that, in their spare room, so that, they could set up everything. We could just have a studio and I could record with them. And then, then we could just do updates from home. And that is not what happens.
No, it's so sad. Jonathan was talking about, when we were talking about the sun burning, I think, is talking about it, he remembers that experience from living in Southern California. Where did you live? Let us know. Yeah, I love Southern California. I came from Texas, so I used to live in Texas, and then I moved out here, and it is so.
Been trying to get Cody to come home and visit. So he's from a town a couple hours from me, but it's easier for him to fly here and me to drive him there, because I want to do some stuff out there. So I was like, well, why don't you just fly to me? It's a faster flight and a safer flight, and then I'll just drive you home, and then we'll get to hang out, and we'll just like make a vacation out of it.
And I'm like, oh, Southern California, I don't want to leave it. No, it's been the pandemic, but the weather is amazing out here. So you lived in Irvine.
Yeah, all the pictures you post are always so beautiful. It's South. Living in the South is something. I've lived in Ohio, PA, Texas, and Florida, and not in that order. And when we moved from PA to here, we crossed through Arkansas, which was gross and depressing. But as we crossed the Texas state line, it was 30 degrees in that part of Texas, but the whole sky was just crystal blue and beautiful, and the speed limit went up to 80 miles an hour, and that part was nice. And the other hard part was we crossed into Texas, and we were on our way to Austin, and we were still like 9 hours from Austin.
It takes you forever to get from one location to the other. Like, basically most of the time when we drove from Texas to California was spent in Texas. Driving through Texas to get out of Texas. And we were in the middle of Texas, and it still took that long to get through Texas. The one thing I love about out here is I can go to the beach, I can go to the mountains, I could swim and surf, I could go a little farther and go snow skiing. Although I could go like an hour-ish and see snow and then come down and be at the beach. I just love everything about it. It's like the temperature is like really nice today. It's like 60s and 70s, and you can just go hang out, and it's just lovely. And I love, Matt, I talk about this a lot on the podcast, but I love because I can grow almost anything. So I have fruit like going crazy, vegetables going like crazy. But where Jonathan was talking about Irvine, that is the headquarters of Taco Bell, which I love Taco Bell.
That's kind of surprising, because Cody is very like, I mean, I eat pretty healthy now. I cut out all meat except for seafood in November. But Cody's always like, oh, I eat this and I eat that, and I'm so healthy. And I'm like,
okay, Taco Bell is the most healthiest fast food. Okay.
What did you just say?
Taco Bell is the healthiest fast food. Just saying. It is.
Compared to
any fast food. I don't know. McDonald's, Burger King.
Did I hit a nerve? I think I hit a nerve.
I love Taco Bell. I could eat Taco Bell all the time.
He's like, I will die on this hill, Matt. I will come for you.
I want to go to Taco Bell headquarters, so I need to somehow get in there. Basically, every time I'm going to Disneyland, I pass by the Taco Bell headquarters, going and coming back. And I want to go to Taco Bell headquarters.
There's some emotion behind that. Wow.
I love Taco Bell. I want Taco Bell now. Actually, I think we're having pizza tonight.
Yeah,
we're excited for.
Too.
And then
get pizza.
Well, we it's this place that oh, okay, yes, I love Del Taco as well, though. I do love Del Taco. Del Taco is.
Ooh.
They have very fresh vegetables, very fresh tomatoes and lettuce and everything. It's like really nice, and they have like a Beyond Beef out now at Del Taco, and yeah, I do love Del Taco, and they have French fries. So that's delicious.
I know
that's
you're getting excited because when you start sounding like Alaska, like I know you're excited.
So my cat is eating fake plants. So yeah. So I think we're having pizza today. And so it's like a discount.
Salem is like fighting Cody off over there.
It's like a percentage off, 35%, I think, for a pizza. So usually we get like these aren't like regular pizzas. They're very like fancy pizzas. And then so that's what we're gonna do today. But then every Friday we do burritos, and yes, the fries are so good. But here's the thing: in Southern California, there's like California burritos, and they have French fries in them, and so you can get that, I think, at Del Taco. But there's a lot of burrito places in Southern California. Like there's tons of burrito places, and like you have to have a California burrito. So basically, it's just a burrito with fries and then meat and cheese and guac, and it's just the most delicious thing. And people are always at first like, a burrito with fries? No, it's good. It's good. And it's like a nice cut of meat.
I have not tried that. I might break my meat rule for that to try that. Well, I don't know if there's a Del Taco near me.
So good.
So I live in San Antonio, but I'm on a side of town where
there's nothing.
There is some stuff here, but
I mean, you're closer to SeaWorld than certain locations.
I'm 20-ish minutes from SeaWorld.
That's pretty close. Like I used to stay at a hotel and it was like 30 minutes away because I would stay by the airport.
Yeah, I'm 25. Oh, okay. I'm 20 minutes from the exit, and then however far SeaWorld is from the exit. So I'm 20 minutes to the SeaWorld exit, and then usually... I'm gonna let Matt talk for a second. I have to go check on Salem. So you guys get to hear me talk for a few minutes while Cody goes and wrangles the cat. Salem likes to terrorize him during podcast and during recording time because Salem and their other cat, Ella, because Salem's a new adoption, doesn't quite get along yet. And because Cody right now is running it, I don't actually know who's here and who's listening. So I don't know if I'm talking to the wall or not.
So it says we have two people. It says we have one person watching on Twitter and one person watching on YouTube. So I'm guessing Jonathan's on YouTube. I don't know who's on Twitter. But
this has been really interesting. Cody, what I was thinking was, since conversation stuff worked out really well, we can, obviously I don't have a problem doing some of the actual podcasts, like we do cases or talk about topics this way. But I also think it'd be really fun to kind of fill in the time with like kind of conversational stuff. Oh, Chris! Yay! So Chris Pettis and I have been friends since 2006. We are real life friends. We used to live in Cocoa Beach, down the street from each other. Then we both lived in Orlando, about 5 minutes from each other. We go really, really far back. We've known each other. We were literally teenagers when we met. And
oh my goodness, super twink, Matt.
Oh yeah, no, Chris and I were super twinks. I have pictures of us. I think Chris has a couple pictures of us back then, and we were babies. We were tiny.
You were so tiny. Matt has sent me some photos, and
Chris
it's like,
Chris was
what, girl?
Chris and I were both that size. We were both like of the group of all of us that knew each other and were kind of around each other. Chris and I we were like the twinkiest of twinks. We were little twinkсicles, you know. But Chris is so cool. He's totally a ride or die person, and riding with Chris in the early days could be we're gonna die when we ride. But because I remember he scared the hell out of me once racing through the gate of my gated community when we drove through it once, and I almost shit myself. Because Chris and I are car gays, so we are. That's like our thing, and we still talk. We got to reconnect a few months ago, and I love Chris. So it's just really funny because when you follow somebody on Twitter, you don't really know who's who and who's friends with who. So some of my closest friends have really small accounts and barely use Twitter, but they are somebody I've known for a really long time. And I think Chris is the longest person I've known in my entire life that is a part of my life, that is an active part of my life. Besides we have a friend Jay who showed up right before that, but he's not on Twitter. But yeah, like especially social media wise, Chris is the longest, and Chris is the most consistent friend of the last, 15 years? Be 15 years now that we've known each other, which is just under half our lives.
It's a long time
too. So yeah, we went through the whole journey of twinks. We went through all of that. We've grown up we grew up with each other, which has been really cool. We don't get to see each other anymore, but he was always like that really fun person that when I got to hang out with him, we got to hang out one-on-one. It was just like a highlight. So, and he always was supportive. Like it was my 22nd birthday. I didn't know anybody was really going to show up, and everybody showed up, and lo and behold, Chris was like charged right in, and he was there, and I saw a picture. I wish I have that picture somewhere because he and I are probably combined, like we're probably each 100 pounds because we're about the same height.
Yeah.
And we're probably each maybe 100, 105 pounds in these pictures.
Don't make you cry.
We haven't gotten to see each other in person since 2010.
Man, I feel like when the pandemic's over, you just need to be traveling. Everybody wants to see you.
Visit Orlando for a weekend quietly in 2021 or in 2020 to not tell anybody I was coming home, but like Chris and 2 other people. And I hadn't even got a chance to tell anybody that I was coming because the pandemic is when it started. So David got laid off 2 weeks. David got laid off just literally the first week of it. As soon as it was starting, his job went. I was like, we're in trouble. Like I saw it coming. I knew what was coming. And obviously you never know how bad it's going to be, but I was pretty sure I wasn't traveling for most of the year at that point. And so I was planning to go home and see Chris this year and like one other friend and be home for 3 or 4 days and just so I can have some time, because I don't like to go home and hang out with 50 people because it's not really quality time, and we haven't seen each other in person in 10 freaking years. 11 in May, because Chris helped me move to Pennsylvania. He and his then boyfriend drove the U-Haul or the Penske truck from Orlando up to Chambersburg for us, and then we flew them home. Yeah. So he helped caravan.
I said good times.
Yeah, it was really fun. That was kind of like we had a farewell party. My farewell from Orlando, my goodbye party was actually a boat. So
we have 3 followers.
Oh, that's so cute.
I don't know who else is joining us.
I actually have to go check on a cat now. I will be right back. So Cody, it is your turn.
Oh my God, it's all me.
It's all you, but you'll be fine.
You know it. My cats are just all over the place. That's the one thing that y'all don't get to usually see is our cats, since you just get to hear our podcast. But Luna and my cats decided to join us. You want to come here, Salem, and say hi? He can be a very nice cat. We found him outside, and he was a stray cat. And he was hanging out all summer long. It was getting really hot, and he would always come each day to get food and hunt. And we decided to bring him into the house and make him our little home baby. But he also likes to bite. He still is learning. So what is some of the things y'all are doing today? It's Thursday, ready for the weekend. Let's see. Oh my God. Salem, do you want to say hi? Literally, this is what I deal with on a daily basis when me and Matt are recording. My cat just does not cooperate with me. Okay, let's see what we got here. Still trying to get used to the system. Luna and Salem, yes. So I forgot what the other name was. We took Salem to the vet to get his vaccinations and to see also if he was fixed and if he had a microchip. And the doctor was like, well, do you have a name for him? And I was like, I know it's so cliche, but it's going to be Salem Black Cat. There was another Black Cat cliche name that we were going to use, but we went Salem. Kind of fit him better. We also have another Black Cat though that is hanging outside, another outside cat, and we've decided to name her Sophie. And we think that they were actually brothers and sisters. And we had pictures. I've been going back and looking at photos, and we have pictures of cats outside in our backyard in like February of last year and March and so on. And come to find out, I've always thought it was Salem, but it was a different cat. It was a completely different cat because the cat that we have now coming has something wrong with her ear. It's just kind of like messed up a little bit, like she'd gotten into a fight when she was younger. And Matt.
I'm back.
Matt's fat. And so I started noticing that. I was like, oh my God, we got the wrong cat. I told Matt this the other day. But we didn't get the wrong cat. We knew about Salem because in July and stuff, that's when it was getting really hot and he was coming around a lot. And we thought he actually brought this other black cat because one day we saw them on top of our chicken coop, just both of them hanging out. And we were like, oh my God, 2 black cats. And then, but yeah, come to find out it's this little Sophie girl that she's been coming around since February. Salem started coming around in July. And I was telling Matt that Salem just got the inside job there getting in before Sophie, even though Sophie had been coming around longer.
Yeah, David really enjoyed that story. I actually, when we adopted Ava, we went to adopt a black cat. I went to look at a little black cat named Holly, but Holly had a sibling and I didn't want to separate them if we didn't need to. And we already have Luna and I didn't want to go from 1 to 3 cats. And so we got Ava and, Johnny comment, Luna and Salem. Yeah. So Luna was named for when she was a kitten, she was all white and gray. She looked like literally the moon. She was exactly that color. So David named Luna. And we didn't even know we were getting her when they posted the animals, the neighbor that found her and her siblings in a box next to the road. Luna, the other one that didn't look like Luna at all was posted. And then we got there and like, oh, well, the third one's already been adopted. This one is spoken for by a friend and Luna. And I walked over like 4 streets over to get her, to look at her. And as soon as I picked her up, I was like, well, I'm taking her. So I walked back to the house, got a bucket and a towel because it was 105 outside that day. And when she was found next to the pavement in a box, exposed with nothing to protect them, it's amazing they were not attacked by birds. And then I carried her home in a bucket wrapped up in a towel to protect her from the sun because it was so hot. And yeah, that was 3.5 years ago. And so Luna was only 10 days old, so we hand fed her every 4 hours. neonatal kittens cannot produce their own body heat. So we had to we bought like a hot rock where you put in the microwave and it'll maintain heat for 10 hours. We bought a hot rock. We had to put hot water bottles in it with blankets and keep her warm. So every 4 hours she was hand fed or fed. And then we had to help her go to the bathroom. If you've never helped a kitten go to the bathroom, that's an experience. And also we had to burp her because she didn't just sit there. All the things that mama cats do the first 8 weeks, there was nobody to show her anything. So, and this was during the hurricanes, by the way, which is why we had decided to adopt it. When we adopted Luna, we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and see if we can foster some animals or a cat and possibly keep one. But I worked 25 days in a row, even though I worked from home. I was doing like the 2 a.m. feeding and then in like one of the afternoon feedings. And then David was doing all the other ones around his job. So, and that's our little, we have little Luna who's,
little girl.
Well, now she's like the size of a small horse. So,
I know Salem, I told Matt yesterday, before when we took Salem initially to go to the vet, he weighed less than 10 pounds. And now I weighed him yesterday. He weighs 11.8 pounds. So he's gained quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, Ava's finally filling in a bit. And she's really long. She's like a slinky. Yeah. David sent me this picture earlier. I don't know how to post it. If I send it to you, Cody, can you show it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can try to.
So, yeah. So while she was sleeping on David earlier, it literally looks like somebody folded my cat in half. Here we go. But, yeah, so when I went to go check on a cat, I thought a cat was locked behind a door. And David's doing yoga right now. One of our mutuals teaches yoga classes, and today is David's day. So I had to quietly like sneak by. I'm like, sorry guys. But David's really tall, so he's very, very, very flexible. So he's like, he's like bent in half with his feet behind his head, like toes pointed, completely over his head, touching the ground. And I'm like, my hips hurt looking at that. Did the picture come through, Cody?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So she just like folds herself, and I mean, all cats do it, but Ava's so long that when she folds herself up, it's like, it's really weird looking. But
let's see if I can open this. And here she is.
It's I don't see it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the top part of that is my actual cat's head. She's just like folded into an L shape, and I don't know how to explain that.
It's very, very long.
It's very, yeah, she's odd. I think we should well, I'm actually surprised Salem hasn't made more of an appearance.
I brought him a minute ago and he started like trying to eat me up. But I think this has been fun. I hope everybody has enjoyed their time here. We'll try to get on a more regular schedule and doing these, like we had talked about, coming on live for like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something and just answering questions or just chatting about nothing or nonsense. So we'll be doing that on a more regular schedule, and then like we'll always go live whenever we're recording. So that might not be a schedule. Like when we're recording our episodes, it might not necessarily be on a schedule. So if you want to just notify the notifications on YouTube, and you'll get a notification when we go live, and you can choose to watch us or you can choose not to watch us, because those might be at random because it's whenever we wake up and get around and get going and we start recording. But we'll make a regular schedule of like trying to come on and just like chat with you, because this has been fun.
Yeah, I think so. And it can be something.
Yeah, we'll be back live.
It doesn't take us any time to set this up, so we can just jump in. And it might be a really fun way to connect with people, because I know everybody is really feeling the loneliness. And, so this could be a really fun way to interact in a new...
Jonathan, you'll have to join us next time on camera, even for just a few minutes. Because it's really easy. It's really easy. You don't have to get on Skype or FaceTime or phone calls or anything. You literally click a link and you're here. It's through a website. So yeah. And also, if you are watching the replay, you can join us. Just message us and let us know that you want to be on and talk about something.
Yeah.
Because then if there's something happening that you want to talk about, we can talk about that. And
yeah, we absolutely would love to have guests or anybody that wants to be a part of it. This is not some exclusive club. I wanted this platform built so everybody could have a voice when they want it, but not everybody wants to speak on a camera or into a microphone and share. But Jonathan,
and I believe also, if you don't want to be on camera but you want to talk, you can also do that. You just have your camera off and then we can just hear you and still have a conversation.
Right. Yeah, we can absolutely accommodate you any way you want, your time, whatever. We can totally do it. We want if there's something you want to talk about, it doesn't have to necessarily be stuff we normally talk about on the podcast. We are totally open to topics, and we'll just keep it fun.
Because for sure, like if we get these on like a schedule and we decide we're going to do one of these a week for all of you to listen into, well, it'll kind of be more on a schedule for y'all. And so we'll be able to plan out that, oh, you want to come on at this time? Well, come on at this time. And then we'll have that. You can, of course, if you're not, which I guess if you're watching us on Twitter, you already are following us on at the Comicast, but then you can also follow me and Matt on Twitter. I'm at Cody Rodriguez and Matt is...
I'm Poeticus. I'm Poetic AF. And yeah.
This has been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Well, we'll probably do it more this week to kind of get used to it because this was supposed to be a practice run. I didn't know if anybody would even notice we were on, but I retweeted it because I was hoping so we could find out if it worked or not. So thank you everybody for listening and joining in and hearing us be ridiculous fun. Or maybe ridiculous. Sorry.
And be sure and share it with your friends of the podcast so that people can listen, because we are going to do 2 episodes a week now. So they should all be pretty fun. And Tuesday, Matt and David's episode. It's a fun one. I guarantee it. Matt still hasn't heard it.
Is it edited? Is it done?
Maybe. I don't know. Okay. We will see y'all soon.
Bye, everyone.